Hello then, Ramblers. Welcome back to part 4 of my Disappearing Scunthorpe. We've done the pubs, we've done the places uptown. This episode is all about the clubs, nightclubs, clubs, whatever you want to call them. But firstly, I want to say a massive thank you to everybody who's watched the first 3 parts. Nearly up to 10,000 people now. Mental. Yeah. Bearing in mind, it's just me talking shite in my shed. But yeah, by and large, I think you've found it entertaining. I've had a lot of good feedback. Couple of weirdos, but you know, that's pretty much par for the course, isn't it? So thank you to my 100+ new subscribers, and brilliant to the rest of them who've been watching from the start. So big thanks. So part 4, it's all about nightclubs, and I've never been a fan, I'll be honest, primarily because you're listening by and large to music that's not of your choice, and I've never been keen on that because music means a lot to me. Why do I want to listen to, I don't know, ABBA when I don't want to? Rick Astley when I don't want to? Ed Sheeran, why would you? So yeah, nightclubs. So we're going back to my drinking formative years, which is round about the age of, I don't know, 4? No. I was around about 15, I guess, when it was pubs and nightclubs. Can you imagine the kids now? They're going, you fucking what? Run that by me again? You was going to clubs at 15? Oh, yeah. It's what we did. We didn't need fake ID, none of that malarkey. They weren't bothered. They just wanted you in. So that was pretty much the norm, yeah. You didn't even have to have like a beard or out. No, you just had to remember your pretend date of birth if you was asked. I don't even recall ever getting asked. So we're at the early to mid 80s, and certainly my first experience was a pub with a dance floor, so that sold grog. You know what I mean? Oh God, did it sell grog as well? So it was classed, I guess, as a nightclub because it had the dance floor, unlike the other pubs. So it was every Saturday. It was a nightclub, and the place to be was. Are you ready for this? Because even this is like opening a can of worms. It's like your chip butty or a balm or a bread cake. So definitively and forever and ever, the Berkeley. Oh yeah, not the fucking Barclay, the Berkeley. It's got E's in it, yeah? Which we didn't have back then because they'd not been invented at this point. But they did come. Anyway, it was the Berkeley. And it was then, and it still is to this day, a Sam Smith's pub. So you get in cheap ale, and it was bloody strong. I was a bitter drinker, or cider, if the funds weren't too floaty, and you needed to get to Trolleysville a little bit quicker. You know what I mean? We even tried that. Drink it through a straw, it'll go to your head quicker. Not really. It just made you burp a lot. So I found out through experimentation, because I am basically a food and drink alchemist, I found a far quicker route to get in trolleyed. So that was half a cider. Yeah, you think, oh, you're going on shorts this time of night. Oh, no. So you had half a cider and you mixed it with a bottle of barley wine. Oh, man alive, when you were 15, 16, I swear, 3 to 4 pints of that. And you were talking more shite than normal. And, because there wasn't a load of money flying about, you were getting leathered quicker, which was win-win in my book. So, the memories of the Berkeley. Firstly, in aid to gain entrance, in order to gain entrance, sorry, I think it was about £1 or £2, something like that. So you would pay, and they would give you a rubber stamp on your hand, like there. So an inked rubber stamp that just said the Berkeley on it. There you go, in you pop, which is foolproof, isn't it? Unless you're from Westcliff and you like to find your way around things. So the men's toilets at the Berkeley were outside in a different area to the nightclub bit. So one of you out of 4, there's a reason for that, would go get stamped. There you go. Quick swallow, nip to the carsy, where your 3 mates are waiting. So you got in the toilet, and what you did, you give it a light lick. I know, basically porn, innit? Behave. So you'd give it a light lick, and then you would rub it on your mate's hand, like that. Brilliant! 2 for 1, 2 for 1. Better than that, 4 for 1, because you could roughly get 4 of you out of 1 stamp. He just said, sorry mate, I forgot I wash my hands because I'm a cleanliness freak. Which none of us were in the 80s. We didn't know what germs were. We couldn't afford germs. Anyway, meanwhile, back at the ranch. So we had 4 transfers. We were in. Fantastic. I said the ale was cheap, in particular the bitter and the mild. But if you were a lager drinker, now at that time, lager drinkers uptown were used to things like Harp, Double Diamond, works wonders, terrible drinks, Hofmeister, and recent times round about then were little bottles of Pilsner. Yeah. So they could tank that stuff because it was, I don't know, it was pretty low in volume. But the stuff that they sold at the Berkeley was called a Ingerbrow. Rocket fuel, fighting juice. Man alive. I swear there was more fights in the Berkeley on a Saturday night than there was in the entire year at Caesar's Palace boxing venue. Oh yeah, it was fight central. But it was fair fighting. There was none of that knives. I don't ever recall anybody bringing, say, a gun in. No, it was just fisticuffs. There you go. And it was proper strong stuff. So I blame a lot of the fighting on lager and lager drinkers. Yeah, your cider and barley wine freaks. Oh no, they were too arsehole to start going brawling. Trust me. There was a DJ on, and the bloke's name escapes me. But I remember him having a very, very limited playing list. This is when they would have had to spin vinyl. They're called the records to you young people watching. Yeah, but the DJ, I remember it was very heavily UB40 and Bob Marley based. There was a lot of that going on. But it was basically groups of lads, groups of lasses. And you rarely infiltrated each other's company. Because if you were on a lad's night out, the last thing you needed was a woman to spoil it. Yeah, it's probably still the same nowadays. I don't know. I've not been to a nightclub for some time. For many reasons. So the only time you actually met be it eye contact, speaking, was obviously the last dance, because that was the last chance you had of attracting a mate without being interested in them beforehand. Yeah, it was pretty shallow stuff, because you didn't want to get involved. You was on lads' night out, but then you thought, oh, she might have a flat. Go there. So that was the Berkeley. It was a cracking place. I remember a mate of mine, there was a burger stand outside, and they used to have the really tacky sauce bottles on the shelf. And he didn't even buy a burger. He says, can I borrow your red sauce, mate, please? He says, yeah, of course you can. So he basically squirted his name on the side of the van. The bloke wasn't happy about it. But it was hijinks. But there were other options. Very limited Scunthorpe was at the time. But there were other options, like there was a place called Garbo's. Not for me. It had a reputation of, shall we say, entertaining the older age group. Yeah, not so much the MILFs, the GGILFs. Yeah, the great-grandmas. They were Garbo's bound. Not for me. And on a similar timeline, there was another pub with a dance floor, and that was the Cocked Hat. Yeah, and this place not only did Saturdays, but bizarrely was open on a Monday. So you had a nightclub on a Monday night. And both nights were very, very busy. So if you pulled on the Saturday, you went back there on the Monday with them. Yeah, obviously pulled at the end of the night because you were out with your mates. It was bloody busy. It was busy both nights. I'd say packed. Don't know whether my memory doesn't serve me so well, but can you imagine a nightclub in Scunny now open on a Monday? No, they won't even do that on a bank holiday Monday. So that was the Cocked Hat. Excuse me. So about the same time, a new place opened, and it was opened to try and emulate a nightclub at Doncaster, which was called Seventh Heaven. And the place in Scunny wasn't even half as good numerically as Seventh Heaven, because it was called Scene 3. Yeah. And it was the first nightclub really of any note to give you more than one option, because they had different DJs in different rooms. So if you didn't like that, go in the other room. Didn't like either, and to be honest. And Scene 3 took over the old premises of the original Scunthorpe and District Working Men's Club, better known as Big Social. Yeah, I'm big anti-social. That's me. So whether it was Scene 3 or latterly JJ's, I guess this was pretty much where most of my nightclubbing was done. It's now a sports bar called Mulligan's, and I was there last week, and there's still traces of the old place. In particular, the toilets and the corridor are pretty much untouched since, say, I don't know, mid-80s. Yeah. I laugh now, but my Saturday ritual for some time was Jensen's till 3 o'clock, and then back home down Westcliff, get my best threads on. Yeah, oh, I looked a million drachma. Gorgeous. And then it was back uptown on my mother's, look at this here. Look at that beauty. Woohoo! What a fanny magnet. That was my mum's on the Melody. complete with front basket and top box, which was good because I could put some tramp juice in the top box and me coat for the night. It was the Yellow Peril. Oh yeah, topped off with a half-face piss pot helmet. She was a beauty, I tell you what, that thing. The girls were queuing up for a lift home. Said nobody ever. Oh, at least I could guarantee I could get home if I didn't have enough money for a taxi, because it was a bit of a trek from uptown back down Wesey. So my Honda Melody could get me home, you know what I mean? I was thinking back yesterday. Not only did I don't condone this, children, either. It happened, okay? Excuse me. Not only was I worse for wear when I pulled up and parked outside in full view of the local filth, but I would leave 3, 4, 5 hours later in full view and they just weren't arsed. It was like, crack on, mate. Go do yourself an injury. But that was it. You needed to get home, didn't you? And when Scene 3 opened up, it had a glass sectioned off room, which was see-through. It was transparent. And it was, I think it was for over 25s and celebrities, which was much needed because you couldn't move for celebrities in Scunthorpe in the 1980s. The only one I ever recall seeing in there was Mervyn Hayes. Him. Yeah, I remember seeing him in there one night. He'd be doing something at the Plough Right, I think. So, because most folks were under 25 and no buggers were celebrities, it didn't last long. So they trashed the glass and opened it up as one room. So then it was Scene 2. It changed over to JJ's in 1986, but to be honest, it was the same shit, just a different name. And it stayed open until I think 1994, and then it was just like there was other options. So it closed. And then it reopened in 95 as Riley's Snooker Hall. And then eventually becoming what it is now, Mulligan's. So right, I'm just going to go grab a cuppa. And when we get back, something big is going to happen. Okay? This'll cause an upset, this, because I've ran it by a couple of people, particularly our lass. It's just like, you can't say that. It was the best place ever. For me, it was shite. Back in a mo. Three, two, one. Back in the room. It was like Ted Rogers there, wasn't it? Yeah, it's all trick of the hand. Camera tricks. So, 1987. And Scunny's nightclub scene is going big time. Oh, yes. It was gonna be a landmark on the map. It was the opening of Henry Africa's. Just no. Firstly, it had a capacity of a staggering 1,200 people. So that's basically all bar 10 folks in your way than you were normally used to. There was one reason I wasn't keen on it. 2, the ale was shite. The music was garbage. And you couldn't have the crack properly with your mates. We were used to making our own fun. And a lot of it for me was, it was staged entertainment. I know a lot of people like that, and still do. Just not for me, no. You know, it wouldn't do for us all to be the same now, would it? No. So 1,200 people. And me and fun just don't get on. I know that's hard to believe, isn't it? But I am not a fan of fun. I should have that on a t-shirt. I'm not a fan of fun. I like my own fun, but I don't like staged, enforced fun. And Henry's, I think it was the first time that I saw it in the Telegraph. It used the word revellers. Whatever. And it was the first time I think I'd ever queued up to get anywhere, to get in. Queuing up. I'm all right, mate, Tar. There was a new concept that I was completely unfamiliar with, other than going to football. So you had to queue up to attend what was an adult fun house. Yeah. With company that wasn't your choice, generally. But hey, you know, notable memories of Henry Africa's was a massive fiberglass statue of, I'm guessing, he was Henry. I don't know. He looked the type of chap who would be called Henry, complete with khaki jungle outfit on, yeah, pair of shorts, sandals with, I think, sandals with socks, yeah, which is always a good look, isn't it? There's not many people who can carry that look off. Holding a pint. I suppose he was and a pith helmet. That's a pith helmet. Yeah, I'm not taking the pith. Pith helmet. Pretty much your stereotypical chap you always see in any film to do with a jungle scene. That was Henry, leant against the big roof part. Very strange. It was massive. Again, another example of fun. No, don't put Henry there. Put another bar there so we're not queuing as much. And it had an upstairs balcony. Oh, yeah. Which was, to be honest, it was a recipe for disaster. Yeah. There was a lot of gobbing going on and pouring drinks down and yelping at people. And it had also had a fiberglass cauldron, which normally you'd associate with cannibals. Yeah, which, you know, do you really need to be promoting that you're going to burn some colonials for some soup? I don't know. But the DJ used to play in the cauldron. And there was a big drag act initially called Roxy Duval. Roxy Duval, I'm sure it was. Now this was a real conundrum for a lot of Scunthonians, because Roxy was fucking funny, no two ways about it. But essentially, you know, your alpha male in Scunny at that time, aged between whatever 16 to 22, they were quite. I'm not laughing at a bloke in a dress, but they did. Because it was funny. Don't matter who's wearing a dress. Yeah. More pairs of jeans for me to nick. But it was generally funny. Full ball gown, makeup, massive wig. Roxy, you was about the best thing there. At least it was quiet for a while and you could hear somebody. Another memory of Henry Africa's, I got invited to sing on that very stage, because every year back then they used to have a competition which was really demeaning and demoralising for women, particularly for the ones that lost, because they were a little bit uglier than the one that won. Thankfully, them things have stopped, although they should bring Miss World back. Particularly for our generation, you know what I mean? when you just want to stay in and watch telly. So I did. Miss Evening Telegraph was a big deal back in the day. And I have no idea what I sang, but I had to introduce, and I was sharing a dressing room with a massive celebrity. I'm talking bigger than Jim Bowen, you know what I mean? So John Altman. And no, does that not ring a bell? Now, John Altman was this chap here. Yeah. So, Nasty Nick Cotton. And he was the judge for the evening. Getting paid a shitload because I didn't. I think the emphasis was, do you want to come and do this? This would be good for your career in 30 years' time when you sat in a shed talking to yourself. I says, yeah, I'll do it. Can I have 2 free pints? 3? 4? Free bar? I'm in. So yeah, it was me and Nasty Nick Cotton, John Altman. And I have to say, he had the charisma of a personality bypass. Yeah, 0. He was as dull as a fucking dishwater. Oh, that was him. Other notable stars at the time who appeared at Henry Africa's were Barbara Windsor. Aye, remember Babs? Titty Trollope. No, not back to Barbara Windsor. Titty Trollope and Melinda Messenger. Yeah, she was huge at the time. But my Henry's highlight came on a very, very quiet evening. Not many people were there, which is staggering to say what was in front of us on stage. It was Benny King of the Drifters. When the night is come and the land is... You know what I mean, don't you? Yeah. It was him. And he was on stage in Scunthorpe, which must have been the highlight of Benny's career. I don't think many people actually knew who he was. So they just thought, fucking hell, why is that bloke ruining a perfectly good song? Because he was old and his voice had gone. Something I'm not familiar with at all. So Henry's even had professional fucking dancers. Oh, our lass loves it. She used to get up on stage. Obviously, I didn't know her then. She used to love getting up on stage and dancing with them. But they were like a shit version of Legs and Co. or Pan's People. It was the definition of what it was selling. Okay, it was entertainment. It was supposedly entertaining, but just not for me. Not for me. Make your own fun. You know, all in all, in my humble opinion, it was a bit shit. And to be honest, I've lived for 56 years now, and 99% of the time, I'm right. Who'd have thought? Oh dear. Henry's closed in 2011, reopened a few months later, rebranded, but ultimately closed for good in 2014, and then it was razed to the ground sometime later, and it's now nothing. There's nothing there. It's just concrete. Yeah. So that was that. And on the last, which I caught very much at the back end, certainly of my drinking days, because the music was just it was pretty deplorable through the mid-80s as it was. By the 90s, it was just ass. Not for me. So, a place opened called Club 2000. Oh, yeah. It was built in 1999 at a cost of £1.5 million. Yeah. Capacity of 1,100, all on one level, I remember. And it was proper shite. I hated the place. I think I probably went in a handful of times for many reasons. Mostly the music. Not for me. I don't like it too loud. Turn it down. Turn that shit off. Yeah. Can I get a drink? No. Nightclubs, why do you? And Club 2 closed. Flattened 2006, yeah, 2006. Gone. But another reason why Club 2 was and just should never have been there, because they had to knock down a fantastic pub, the Furnace Arms, to build on the hallowed ground, this shite nightclub. So yeah, I'm glad it got knocked down, to be honest, not for me. So that was my Disappearing Scunthorpe clubs, nightclubs. It's been a roller coaster, hasn't it? Where we're going to go next? I think we may have a final episode on some memorable shops, because there were some fantastic shops back then. And some of the characters who worked at the shops I've already mentioned Irving at the market. So we might do the shops, but thank you once again. If you've got this far, there's something wrong with you. But thanks anyway. Please do subscribe to the channel, like it, share it with your friends, share it with people you don't like. I don't know. But I've enjoyed it thoroughly. So, cheers muchly. And I'll catch you who knows where soon. Thank you. Laters, taters. When the night is come and the land is dark and the moon is the only light we'll see,